And this is linked in the calendar, but just if you need it, it's in both genetics day 0 from Monday, and it's in today's day as well. So go and upload that to Notability. And I'm going to open it in my Notability. So this is what it looks like. And because of the snow day for my students, I'm sorry I didn't fix this. Mr. Austin did fix this on his document, but today is technically genetics day 1 and it's Wednesday, the 27th. So the dates are off a little bit. But as we get going, by Tuesday, everything will be back on track. But if you want to if you don't want to click through all these pages each time we open this document, if you push on the little hand tool at the top, and you can click on the day and it will take you to that day. And this document is 65 pages long, but it has the warm-ups for the day, the notes for the day, and any homework assignments that are going to be assigned that day. Okay, so this is the mega document that I created. All right, so to get us started today, and I've done this every year for the last few years that I've started the genetics unit, I have my students take this survey called My Future Baby. And what the survey asks you to do is to choose from 11 different traits which ones you would choose to decide for your future child. So there's a scenario that you had to read and talked about how you were 28 years old and married for a few years and in a loving relationship and you're ready to have a child, and the doctor asks you if you'd like to choose these things, if for sure you knew that the outcome would be what you thought it was going to be. And so I listed the 11 traits here. And so the idea is if you did this survey, you could go through and check which ones you would choose for your child. And then I wanted you to do some reflecting about it. So if you haven't done this survey yet, you can go and do it, or you can just do this warm up here and you can decide which traits you would choose for your child. And it always lends itself to a kind of a unique discussion about things like these first 3, I would say aren't very like controversial, like sex of the baby, left-handed or right-handed, height or eye color. Like if you could choose those things for your child, first of all, would you? And then I always ask, like, which one would you choose? Would you have a female or a male? Would you want them to be left-handed or right-handed? Is there a reason why it would be, why does it matter if they're right-handed or left-handed? And oftentimes, people who are left-handed would be like, I don't want my child to be left-handed because then they have to struggle like I have my whole life, or whatever it may be. So I'm curious, out of those 4 traits, how many of you would have chosen those 4 for your child? Maybe give me or add it to the chat. We can start a chat conversation. Would anybody choose to?
We can't chat.
I can only send it to
Oh,
Mr.
sorry. Let me make it so you can chat with everyone. I think that got switched during testing. You guys should be able to chat with everyone now. So would you choose the sex of your baby? And it's funny because usually every year some, like, the females will say that they would choose to have a female and the males would choose to have a male. So a lot of people are saying no. What about height? Would you choose the height of your future child?
I had one person say all of them.
All of them? They would choose to do all of them. Interesting. A lot of people are saying no for height. What about eye color? So we've got a lot of no's. People are saying no for any of these. So as of right now, if you have a partner that you're going to have a baby with, you can't choose eye color for them, right? Because, oops, sorry about that. Because you can only pass on the eye color that you have or your partner has, or a combination maybe of the two. But you can't really, that's not something that you can say, I really want my kids to have green eyes because green is beautiful, and you and your partner have brown eyes, and then having green eyes might not be an option. But if you could choose, would you choose an eye color, and what eye color would it be for those of you who said yes?
Yes, it could be a recessive gene. That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. So eye color is actually controlled by more than just one pair of alleles, but again, you can't, like most people that have brown eyes, they don't normally have blue-eyed children. Sometimes they do. All right, so those first four were really kind of like low risk kind of things. Now, when we get to some of these questions that are asking about things like increasing IQ, or making a child more athletic, or making sure that they weren't they didn't have genes that might lead to being overweight or obese, or having them be physically attractive, whatever that might mean. So what about those types of questions where you're actually, especially with the IQ question, you're actually giving your child an advantage over others? Some people are saying that they would choose them all except for physically attractive. I wouldn't choose any. I would for all four. I would for all. No, except for more athletic. I would for all. Thank you guys for being so honest. So some people might start wondering about ethics involved, right? Is it ethical to do this? Now, when I get to this last group of questions, this is where things change a little bit, because now I'm talking about, would you choose, if you could, to take away the possibility of a child having a neurological disorder, like maybe like ALS, or a fatal disorder like Tay-Sachs, which usually ends up in death? Or would you want to make sure that your baby has the right number of chromosomes so they don't end up having Down syndrome or another, there's a couple other types of syndromes that have poor outcomes for the child. So now most of you are all saying yes to these, right? And Mr. Austin's has a good question. Why are you choosing to do these but not the other ones if you are choosing? Because these are more life-threatening. I wouldn't pick any of them. So Sarah, you would say no to everyone. So this is where I get to kind of wondering about things like, how would you feel, like number 3 down here in the reflection, how would you feel if only wealthy parents, people who had money, were able to choose things like higher IQ or increased athletic ability? So what if it was really expensive, but if you had a lot of money, you can make sure that your child was going to be extremely intelligent and be super fast, or have the ability to put on muscle better or jump higher or whatever it might be to make them a better athlete. So I'm seeing a lot of unfair, unethical, that's messed up. I'd be very mad, angry, annoyed. Yeah. So why? Why is it not fair? I'm rich. I have a lot of money. I want my child to have all these things. Yeah, so not everybody has money to spend on that. Yep. It's a system putting people up for failure. Thank you, Grayson. We don't need a bunch of rich, smart brats. So yeah, so this is where we really start getting into the ethics of whether or not it's ethical to start messing around with genes. And for right now, this most all of this is science fiction, because we don't, right now, parents are not able to choose genetic traits. Ooh, Mr. Austin, what if it was free? Good question. What if it was free and you can just decide, and then you didn't decide for the higher IQ for your child because you didn't think it was right? Would you be putting your child at a disadvantage?
I would say you are, yeah.
Yeah. So, first of all, thank you everyone who added to the chat. And like I was saying, even though this is more like science fiction, like, because we're not really able to choose traits, as we learn more and more about genetics and DNA, who knows if this is something that could potentially happen in the future. But it really does bring up ethical questions about who should be able to do it and for what reason. Like, should it be something that's done only to ensure that people don't have genetic mutations that could lead to cancer or to some other disorder? What if your parents had already chosen your traits to make you who you are right now? Great question, Mr. Austin. So I'd love, I really actually wanted us to have a debate about this on the first day of genetics, but because we're not yet in person, it makes it a little bit more challenging. But really what I wanted you guys to go through and think about these things is to get you thinking about genetics and traits. And so today we're going to spend some time learning how you do get your traits from your parents. So we're going to start taking notes here in genetic notes number 1. And this is really the real basics of how you get your traits. So we're going to talk about some things like, what does it mean to be a somatic cell? What are sex cells or gametes? So sperm and egg. I get to talk about sperm and egg today. We're going to talk a little bit about what meiosis is, what is fertilization. And so for this diagram here that I'm going to label with you, I want to point out that we're looking at humans here. So I'm going to start my notes here. So we're looking at humans. And the reason I want to make sure that you understand that is because of the number of chromosomes that I'm referring to in this diagram today. So what we have here at the top of our diagram is we have a female parent and a male parent. Okay, so this is my female over here. You know how I remember a female sign is it looks like a mirror, and then the male sign is a circle with an arrow going up. And I think of them as like the hunters. Anyway, so when we're looking at our female and our male parents, in their body cells, they have 46 chromosomes. Okay, so we call these cells somatic cells. And I'll talk about what a somatic cell is here in just a moment. So these are the body cells. And what I mean by body cells is any cell in your body that's not an egg or a sperm. Okay, so let's say I got a skin cell off of my hand and looked at it under a microscope, and we counted up how many chromosomes it had. That would be a somatic cell. Or maybe I'm looking at a muscle cell. Muscle cells are sometimes long like this, muscle cell. So any cell that is not sperm or egg, it's a cell that makes up your body, is called a somatic cell. So I'm gonna give you one more example. Maybe it's a brain cell. So this is my brain cell. So any cell that's in your body that's not sperm or egg is considered a somatic cell. And in humans, our somatic cells have 46 chromosomes in them. Okay, and we call this number of chromosomes in our somatic cells diploid. D-I-P-L. Diploid. And different organisms have different numbers of chromosomes, and this is how many pieces of DNA all your DNA is in 46 chromosomes in your somatic cells. So we don't just have one long strand of DNA, it's actually in 46 pieces. Now there's another way to write there's a symbol to use to write the diploid number, and that is a 2N. Because science and math like each other. And so if you ever see 2N when we're going through the genetics unit, it's referring to the diploid number of chromosomes. All right, so far, we're just talking about the body cells of our female and our male parents here and how they have 46 chromosomes in them. Now, in order to make a baby, those somatic cells have to go through a process called meiosis. And that is what these arrows are referring to. Now, meiosis is a type of cell division that makes egg and sperm. Okay, so meiosis makes egg and sperm. So this process takes place at different times. So for males, your body is making sperm throughout your lifetime. So meiosis is happening well into your older age. It might even happen until you die. Females, all of your eggs that you have in your body were actually made inside of you while you were inside of your mother. So all of the eggs that you have in your ovaries, that happened before you were even born. So meiosis for females happens while they are in utero, so while they're still inside of their mother. So we don't make more eggs after we're born. We're born with a certain amount of eggs, whereas males continue to make sperm throughout their lives. So this process, meiosis, is a unique type of cell division that makes egg and sperm. So I want you to notice the number of chromosomes that are in egg and sperm. It's exactly half of what was in our diploid somatic cells, right? So we call this number of chromosomes haploid. And math, algebra, science and math, they like each other. So we could also use the letter N. So 2N equals 46, N equals 23. If we divide both sides by 2, we get half. Another word that we use to describe egg and sperm is a word called gametes, otherwise known as sex cells. And I mean sex cells with a C, not with an S. And yes, haploid refers to half. So this term gamete is the word we use to describe either egg or sperm. All right, so now, if we are gonna make a baby here, which is what we're doing in these notes, we are gonna need to take this egg and sperm and these 23 chromosomes from mom and 23 chromosomes from dad. And I just wanna point out that there really should be like love involved here, right? Hopefully you're a financially sound and you're in a position to have a baby and to raise it and to take good care of it. But the term that we use when egg and sperm come together here is called fertilization. So fertilization is when egg meets sperm, and the 23 chromosomes from mom and the 23 chromosomes from dad join together to create a single cell, and we call that a zygote. And our zygote is, again, diploid. Now, this zygote is going to go through many, many cell divisions because it's going to go from being one cell to 2 cells, and then 2 cells will become 4 cells, and each of those cells is going to have the 46 chromosomes in it. And we call this type of cell division mitosis. And this is what leads us to eventually having a fully formed baby. I'm going to swaddle my baby here. They like that when you swaddle them. Okay, so this is how you get half of your chromosomes from your mom and half from your dad. So each parent gives you 23 of their chromosomes, just one of a pair, to create a new life that is a combination of both mom and dad's chromosomes. All right. So there's a little blurb down here if it helps you to kind of read what it is that we just drew out on this picture. So it goes over the terms again, and if you wanted to read that and just make sure that you understand what we just did here in our notes. And then what I want to do next is we're going to take a few vocab notes. And today we're not going to cover alleles. We'll talk about that tomorrow. So we're just going to do these 5 vocab boxes here. And I'm going to give you a simplified definition of each word. And what I want you to do is I want you to put the definition over here. And then I want you to draw a picture over here. So there should be a drawing or some, and it doesn't have to be a drawing. You can also find a picture on the internet if it helps you, if you don't want to draw. Drawing it might help you remember what the word means, but if you're like, I'm not a great drawer, you can always use this plus button up here, and you can save pictures from the web to your photo library, and you can insert them here if you want. And again, these are your notes. So I will, by the end of the day, I'm going to update this with the vocab notes in there. It'll probably be pictures that I draw, so you'll have to bear with me on that. But for now, I want you guys to write down the definitions and include a picture. All right, I'm going to stop sharing here. I'm going to move us over to my vocab notes. All right, here we go. So we're going to start with meiosis. And I know I just talked about it, but I want you guys to have a visual representation of it as well as, oh, can you guys not see that? Sorry, something just happened. I didn't share my screen with you. I just started looking at it myself. That doesn't help. Here we go. All right, so meiosis. Simplified version of the definition is that it's cell division that results in 4 haploid gametes. So this is either sperm or egg, depending on if it's a male. We're talking about a male or a female. All right, so now with that, with humans, I was telling you that they have, that all of us humans have 46 chromosomes in our diploid cells. This visual representation I have up here is showing a diploid number of 2. So this is a super simplified picture of meiosis. So you have, let's say the yellow chromosome is from your mom and the blue one is from your dad. So before cells can divide, all of the DNA in a chromosome has to be replicated. So this yellow chromosome here that looks just like a single strand, when it gets replicated, when the DNA gets copied, it looks like an X. And both of the 2 sides of the X are identical to each other. They're called sisters, sister chromatids. And so the first division is when these 2 pairs, you get one from mom and one from dad, when they get separated from each other. And then there's a second division in meiosis where the sister chromatids get separated. And so there's only 1 chromosome in each of these gametes down here. So we went from 2 to 1. Oops. All right. The next term is diploid. and the prefix di means two. So diploid cells have pairs of chromosomes. So there's two in a pair, and these cells have a pair. So there's one from your mom and one from your dad, and these are in your somatic cells. And I told you that humans have 46. And other animals, other organisms have different numbers of chromosomes. Another example is dogs. They have 78 chromosomes. And remember, I showed you guys that we use a 2N to represent that diploid number. So 2N equals 46 for humans, and 2N equals 78 for dogs. All right, and then the next term is haploid. And the haploid means half. So these are your gametes, and they only have one of a chromosome pair. It's either one your mom gave you or the one your dad gave you. That's going to go on to your offspring. But it's not both. So again, for humans, the haploid number is 23. It's just 46 divided by 2. And we use the letter N to represent N by itself to represent haploid. And then dogs, the haploid number is 39. It's just the 78 divided by 2. All right, and then we just have two more words, gametes and somatic cells. So gametes, oh, I wanted to show you what this looked like in pictures. So what you were looking at here are pictures of chromosomes. So on the left, we have what it would look like if we took a picture of your diploid cells, the chromosomes of your diploid cells. And notice that there's one chromosome, there's a pair. So there's a pair number 1, there's a pair number 2, and so on. Oops, sorry. And these are actual pictures of somebody's chromosomes. So before your cells divide in mitosis, all of your DNA condenses into chromosomes and the picture can get taken. And even a picture of a baby can be taken. And then somebody can set these, this is called a karyotype. And so what you're looking at here is somebody's set of 23 pairs of chromosomes in their diploid cells. On the right would be something you might see in a sperm or an egg. So there's only one of each pair. So just half. By the way, does anybody know what the sex of this baby would be if this was, if this karyotype was of a baby? Just curious if anyone knows how to tell.
I'm gonna take a shot
Boy.
in the dark and say boy.
It's a boy. Does anyone know why?
It has an X and a Y.
Yep. So it hasn't, this 23rd pair is unique. So I know I keep covering it up with my slide thing. The 23rd pair is unique, and that's called the sex chromosomes. And this particular picture shows an X and a Y. So this would be a male sex baby. Females have 2 X's. And we'll talk way more about that later when we talk about traits that you can find on the X. All right, so the last 2 vocab words are gametes. And these are sex cells. So egg or sperm. And they are haploid. You get to draw a sperm in your notes. All right, and the last term is somatic cell. So these are the cells of your body. So when I say all others, what I mean is they're all the other cells in your body besides the sperm and the egg, depending on if you're a male or female. So these are your body cells. So these could be muscle cells, skin cells, liver cells, muscle cells, brain cells, any other cell that your body has that's not eggs if you're a female or sperm if you're a male. And they have the full set of chromosomes, meaning they're diploid. All right. So we have until 3:35 together. So I want you to now take a look at your homework that's due tomorrow. I'm gonna stop sharing on this screen. And oh, it looks like